Alrighty, welcome back to my channel. I have a very special guest on this channel today. This is Jenny from the shop. Thank you for joining us. Today, we are interviewing Jenny, and she is a mom of two, and she has moved to Greece from finding the world of print on demand and Etsy. So there is just so much little bits of knowledge that Jenny has to share today. And to begin, Jenny, I just wanted people to kind of know your story and how you found print on demand and where you are now, how you got to where you are now.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks so much, Heather, for having me here. This is so exciting. So basically, I was a teacher for 8 years, and I thought that had been my dream job and that I would be that till retirement until I actually became a teacher and realized how much work was involved. And once I had my own child, it was just way too much work and energy for me to go there all day and then have energy to take care of my family. And I was just exhausted and burnt out and just knew that there was more to life than like working all day and just feeling exhausted and waiting for the weekends, you know? And then on the same side of that, my husband and I had always gone to Greece for the past 10 years every summer. And by the end of the summer, we'd always be kind of upset when we had to go back because of my teaching position when school would start. And I just remember like dreaming like so many summers, like, man, if we could only stay. And like, what would that look like? Like, how would we be able to make that happen? And so we would just kind of like brainstorm here and there. And I'd always been wanted to be a children's book author. So I was like, let me look that up and figure out how to do that. And maybe I'll make the big bucks from a children's book. And so I did figure out how to make a children's book. I illustrated it. I published it on Amazon KDP. And while I was researching how to advertise my book on Amazon, I think like an advertisement video popped up. I was on YouTube. An advertisement video popped up about Etsy, not print on demand, but it was about Etsy and selling t-shirts. And these people were physically making the t-shirts. And I, felt for some reason was like, that sounds really fun. I feel like I could do that too. And this was like the start of the pandemic too. So I had like a lot of anxiety and my school had just shut down for 2 weeks. So I was like, well, maybe like I'll get my mind off of things by starting a t-shirt business on Etsy, just random. My anxiety was fueling that. So I looked into that a little, like for like 10 minutes. I was like, yeah, I'm definitely doing this. So then I go on Amazon, I purchase a bunch of products to start a t-shirt shop, like the t-shirts, all the materials, the Cricut machine, everything. Purchased it, hundreds of dollars that I didn't even have at the time, but I was just like, I'm going to make my money back this way. So I purchased it and then I went right back to YouTube. Forgot about my book already, like that fast, forgot about the book and jumped right into YouTube, typed in like how to start a t-shirt shop on Etsy and immediately found videos about print on demand, which I never heard about. And it was just like, you don't have to touch a single product, like you can make thousands of dollars from doing this and without ever touching a product. You just make the design, put it on a fake t-shirt and list it on Etsy. And when it sells, the printing company does it for you. And I was just like, what? Like, that's crazy. So then I immediately went to Amazon and deleted or canceled my purchase. And then that night I jumped in and started my Etsy print on demand shop. So it was like really a roller coaster within 20 minutes. Like I was researching how to advertise my book. And then next thing you know, I'm like, I have an Etsy print on demand shop. So that's basically it. It was chaotic energy and I blame it on like my anxiety from the pandemic, but it worked out for me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's such a interesting story. And I guess my question after that is how fast did you see scaling in your business? Because you said during the pandemic. So did you see it within a few months that you were like, okay, this is full-time income, or did it take a little bit longer than that?
Yeah, no, so I made a couple sales my first month and it wasn't full-time income at all yet, but I was just like, when I made that first sale that was from a stranger, I was like, whoa, like this really does work. A stranger, and I forget like what state they were in, but it was far from my home. And I was just like, someone in the world on their computer saw my shirt and they wanted it. Like, what? Like that first sale is so inspiring. And I get so excited when students tell me that they made their first sale because I would think back to that moment where you're like, this is possible, So it didn't happen overnight where I made a ton of money, but like, let's say, I don't know, I have to go back and look at my stats, but I would say like my first month, like $80, and then like the next month it just grew like $200. And the next month it grew and it was like, I was paying my car bill with it. Then the next month it grew, I'm like paying my house mortgage, and it just kept going and going. And it was kind of like a snowball effect.
Yeah. And and I'm so sorry, you probably just mentioned this when I asked you about your story originally, but were you working full-time teaching or did you go to
Yeah.
part-time during that?
Yeah, so I was working full time, but the thing was that my school had shut down for the rest of the school year in person. So we were home teaching on the computer. And so I still had my job, but I wasn't physically at work for like the first couple months of me doing Etsy print on demand. But like I still had my, it was still full-time hours. And then in the fall, I went back into school and was teaching like in person at that point.
Wow, that is such a shift, especially when you have like a booming Etsy and print on demand business. It's like, oh, customer service. Oh, now I have to bring
Yes.
orders. Like, oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
it was pretty crazy, but it was so exciting. Like it felt crazy and I felt like super busy juggling the two and my family, but like it was just so exciting because I was making money at the same time, So
Oh yeah.
it's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, I love that so much. That is like so just inspiring. And like it does bring me back to I had a similar situation where my Etsy shop blew up and I got cut hours for a little bit and then my hours like doubled. And I was like, I have double the hours and now I have this Etsy business that's like my new baby, like
Yeah.
it's my little thing that I do for many, many hours. And not to compare that at all to being a parent by any means, but I like I
It's a
was just
lot
like,
though.
yeah, it was like, oh my gosh, like double hours in the hospital. And then now I have like crazy customer service on Etsy.
Yeah.
But it was nice because it was like you said, like I was paying down bills like at the
Yeah.
time. I had new bills with like my condo and like I had a furniture bill and I was like paying off my furniture debt and it was just like a magical moment. It was like, this
Yeah.
is great. Yeah. So
Yeah, it's true. It's so funny. I had such similar experience. Like just like yeah, like I tackled like my car bill and then you just like keep tackling bills and then all of a sudden like all your bills are getting paid from this and you're like, how? What? Like this is crazy. It feels like a video game sometimes to me because especially
yeah.
because we don't touch a physical product. So it's just like I feel like I beat a video game or something.
Yeah.
It's so hard to explain.
Yep. No, I've heard that from some entrepreneur. I think it was Alex Hormozy, actually. He said on a podcast, or maybe it was like a speaking event, he was talking about like business is like a game, especially if you have that
Yeah.
online business, because
Yeah, for
it's,
sure.
yeah, it's just like skill building, getting to the
Yeah.
next level of your business and then going to the next level after that. And it's
Yeah.
just a magical time. And I guess my next question for you is about how, with full time work in teaching, and then on top of that, an Etsy business and having kids, how any tips on how you miraculously got through that?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's two things that really helped me was one, having a strong why. So a strong reason why you want this to work, because the times where you feel so tired or defeated or you're not seeing enough sales or this or that, and you just want to give up or I'll take the day off or this and that, and all those like crazy thoughts coming in, you just like stop those thoughts and think of your why and just feel excited. I would always feel excited about it. And then that is what fueled me to work on my shop in the pockets of my time. So the second thing is working in the pockets of your time. When you have a full-time job or family or hobbies, friends, like we all have a lot of things going on in our lives and this can easily be put on the back burner. But if you want to be successful with this, you need to make time for it. And sometimes it has to be 10, 20-minute increments if you can. I would listen to YouTubes and podcasts on my way to work. And then like I would get to work. If I had like 10 minutes before the kids came into my classroom, I would maybe start a design or start researching niches. And my list was just ever going. And that kind of bothered me because I wanted to just sit down and like do the whole process, but I couldn't. So I was literally doing things at different stages. And I would just have in my head like where I left off, where I like stopped, and then where I would need to continue when I was able to sit back down so that I didn't waste any time. Yeah. But that was really just like my first year. I hustled so hard and there was no downtime. I sacrificed a lot of things and just did this whenever I could. But now, luckily, I have more time. You know, once the snowball gets going and your shop starts making more sales on its own and you don't have to list as much, you don't have to do it as often as I was in the beginning.
Yeah. And how many listings would you say that you made within maybe your first year? And how many listings do you make, I guess, to kind of keep the consistent snowball going?
Thousands. I was savage.
Yeah.
Like, I remember hearing somebody say, like, just try to get to 5,000 listings. You know, I don't have 5,000 listings, but like, I just kept that huge goal in my head and I just kept going, going, going. I have thousands of listings, but now I really only list when I feel like inspired to list, or if there's a trend circulating that I'm excited about. Cause like now it's kind of like what's the word for it? Like it like switched or like flip flopped. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like now I have a baby that's 5 months old and I have my 5-year-old. And so now I'm more putting them for, you know, I'm putting them first. I can't put my business first as much as I did in the beginning. And luckily it's going on its own. So I don't have to as much. So I would say like I'm guilty of right now because I just like got out of the survival of the newborn stage. I was not listing at all in my shop. But now I'm listing maybe like 10 listings a month, if that. It's really slowed down. It's gone from like 20 to 50 listings a day to maybe 10 a month, like when I'm feeling inspired to.
That's still amazing, though. I think, like, even on my channel with my new shop I created, I have no excuses on why I haven't listed. I don't have a newborn. It's like I'm just not
Of
listing
course.
either. And it's kind of those seasons of time where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, like let me focus on this one thing. And I know for you,
Mhm.
you're going into YouTube now, which
Yeah.
anyone, that's what I forgot to plug in the beginning of this. But if anyone hasn't already looked at the description, please subscribe to Jenny on
Thank you.
YouTube. She's on there now. She's been on TikTok for a while and she just came over to the platform. But I know with that, creating a YouTube channel takes hours and hours.
Yes.
And
It's craziness. Yeah. I'm really excited about it, but it is taking up a lot of time. But I'm excited. It's a new project, it's a new avenue. So it's
yeah,
gonna be good. So yeah, I'd love to see you guys all over there too. And yeah, like you said, there's different seasons in our lives. And I actually really love I still do love listing items on Etsy. I love designing. Like that passion will never fade. It's so fun for me to do that. So I know like down the road when I have more time, I'm going to be spending more time designing and continuing to list as much as I can. But just right now is not really the season for it.
yeah, exactly. I think that's something good to note too, is like, we all have those business seasons where it's like, okay, I'm going to focus so heavily on the Etsy shop and the listings. And then there's other seasons where it's like, okay, customer service is probably what I'm going to have to do. I know like come
Yeah.
Q4, it's
Mhm.
like I just have to do customer service. And that's what I did
Yeah.
when I was working full time. When November hit, December, it was like, okay, all I
No
have time
more, no
for.
time.
Yeah.
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 And
And the thing is too, my husband has his shop and he has always been actively listing. Like I don't think he's ever going to stop. He's like he loves
oh,
it. I had to like beg him to start an Etsy shop and ever since like a month into it when he started making sales, he's like he won't stop. He's just constantly listing. So I don't feel so bad when I'm not listing because I know like he's at least listing in his shop. So
yeah, exactly. I love that. I love that you guys are doing it as a couple now. Like that's my favorite
yeah.
thing, is hearing when people are like doing their own shops and it's almost like you're competing with your
Yeah.
husband and you're doing the
Yeah.
same niches, and like maybe
Yeah.
he's doing different. I feel like maybe he has a different spin on things. I know you said you're going to come out with a YouTube video in the future about you and
Yeah.
Nos and just the differences. For those who don't know, can I say his name? I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
for
yeah.
those who don't know, Jenny's husband, Nas, he also has a shop like Jenny was just saying, but I know he's going to be a part of Jenny's YouTube channel too. And that's my favorite part is just hearing the differences in maybe what you guys are designing for and niches
Yeah.
and all of that. And that kind of rolls into my next question, which is, do you focus on seasonal niches, holidays, or do you focus more on evergreen? Is there like a mix, would you say, in your shops?
Yeah, I have a mix of niches. I would say I have over hundreds of niches, and same with my husband's shop. And yeah, like I always say the more fishing poles, the more fish. I think that you were more niched down. I forget. I'm not positive, but I think you were more niched down, which is really cool to see that either works, you know? But basically, I like to try to tap into as many niches as I can. And then if one niche starts making a lot of sales, then I will build off of that for a while.
I love that so much. And I think that's kind of what I started with, one like main branch niche, and then I targeted all of the sub niches below it. And I think,
Nice.
there's so many ways to kind of go about like expanding, but even that, like when I had Cassie Johnson on my channel, we were labeling and Cassie was like, "Oh, I'm in hundreds of niches." And I was like, "I feel like I'm in like one or two or three niches, but technically if
Mhm.
I count all the niches below that, like if there's subcategories of those niches, then technically those could be categorized as their own
Right.
niches, but still like it's like in that. But anyways, I'm kind of going off into 20 different tangents
No,
now.
no, that's great. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just so interesting about your story about moving to Greece. And one of the questions that at least I have with moving to a different country is what were like some of the like the huge benefits maybe for your business and lifestyle? And then also
Mhm.
a second part to that question is there any like drawbacks that you found as far as owning the Etsy and print on demand business? Is there like things you didn't expect that kind of happened once you moved to Greece?
So the coolest thing is that like nothing really changed at all. We have dual citizenship and we still have an address in the States. So I didn't have to change my shop. I didn't have to change from out of the US. So my shops are based in the US still. So nothing changed on that end. And then really just like the benefit of print on demand is that you can travel and move places like because you're not held down by inventory or making your products. It's all online. So that was the thing when we started making money, we were like, why are we going to stay here? You know, if we really wanted to live in Greece. So we're like, why are we going to stay here? And, like when we could be anywhere right now.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that you guys decided to move to Greece. I always see like other people who've moved to like Bali and all these places, and I'm like, wow, that is the dream. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm too chicken to go anywhere, but I
You're a
still dream
homebody.
about it. Yeah, I'm living vicariously through you, Jenny. That is what I'm doing in my life right
But
now.
but you travel a lot, so that's good. That's a perk of print on demand is travel, being able to travel, you know?
Yeah, it's true. I will say that's been my favorite thing is being able to just travel to the point that it annoys. I mean, it doesn't annoy my husband, but it does like at times he's like, "Okay, like you have a trip every single month. We need to calm it down a little bit."
Yeah.
And
No, I
so,
feel you. I swear every time I look at my husband's laptop, he's on Airbnb and I'm like, "Cool it, cool it." Like, this is
uh,
getting to be a little much every time I look over.
yep, yep,
But
I
it
love
really
that.
is a perk of it. It's great.
Yep, I agree. I agree. And so my other question, I only have a few more for you, I promise.
No,
But
you're fine.
as far as products go, did you have different products in one shop, or did you stick to just a standard kind of category, I guess?
Yeah, so I mostly stick to apparel. So t-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, occasionally tote bags, dabbled into Christmas ornaments, but that's basically it.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love just expanding to the niches that it makes sense to for products where it's like, oh, this design on a t-shirt can go on a sweatshirt. And
Yeah.
I think that was like my big aha moment when I was starting is I designed initially for the Bella and Canvas 3001. And then
Yeah.
I like people messaged me on Etsy and they're like, hey, can you make this in a long sleeve? And I was like, oh, I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
You just keep expanding and then it randomly starts scaling and just the
Yeah.
magical parts of print on demand. So, I guess my last question for you is what advice would you give to someone who's looking to start maybe after watching this video or in the next few months? And maybe like 3 tips if you had for anyone
Sure,
watching.
sure. Okay, so one, start today. Especially if you're watching this like right when this comes out, it's the perfect time to start a print on demand shop. We're in Q4 now. So like right now, right to Q4 start.
Yeah,
October this week.
October, but
Yeah.
we're like 6
So
days away.
yeah, yeah, sorry. When
No,
this
you're good.
when this video drops, it's Q4,
Yep.
which is the perfect time. Q4 is the holiday season when Etsy sellers make the most sales of the year, and that would be a perfect time to start your shop and get that snowball rolling much quicker than someone who's starting in like January or in the spring. Not that you can't get it started then either, but this is literally the best time. The most shoppers are on Etsy during this time of the year. So tip number one, start today. No excuses. Tip number two would be don't get attached to any specific listing because some are not ever going to sell. And it might be like your favorite design, and you're gonna be like, this is gonna be a bestseller, and it's never gonna sell. And I can say that because it's happened to me. And then there's gonna be ones that took you 10 minutes to make, and because you just wanted to get it up quickly or you were in a rush, and that's gonna be your bestseller. So do not get attached to any listing. You're gonna make your designs, list it, keep it moving. Forget about it. The next morning, wake up and be like, I don't even remember what I designed yesterday. Don't get attached. And then lastly, number three is build your shop off of what's already selling. So when those sales start to come in, say a specific listing has sold like 3 times in a month, you want to make more designs that are similar to that design, more designs that are in that niche, and continue to build your shop off of what's already working for you.
I love that. Those are really great tips. And I think like even the bestseller one, like just make a quick design because it is so true. Like every time my first bestseller in my initial store I opened like 2.5 years ago, I remember one of my worst designs I had in my draft folder. I published and I laughed when I got a sale on it. I was just like, I can't believe that sold. And then it
It's
started getting more. And then the bestseller badge appeared and I was just like, how? Like how
yeah,
does this sell? But that's like just I guess it's almost like your own bias comes in where it's like,
yeah,
oh, I would never buy that. But then you have customers that are just buying
yeah,
it. It's just so
yeah.
insane. And thank you so much, Jenny, for coming on my channel. Again, anyone watching, please follow Jenny. Go over to her channel. We are recording a interview, an exclusive one where I am sharing things I have not shared anywhere else on her channel. So go check out that video as well. Link in the description. And don't forget to subscribe to Jenny for more. So thank you so much,
Thank you so
Jenny.
much, Heather.
Yeah, see ya.